Hello and welcome to another episode of New Gameplay Today. I'm your host Jeff Cork, joined today by Imran Khan.
Howdy.
Hi, and Leo Vader.
Howdy.
What are we looking at here, Imran? I think I know.
We're looking at Borderlands 3.
Because it totally looks like Borderlands.
You played this at the preview
Yeah,
event?
you can tell it's Borderlands 3, yeah. Yeah, I played it at the Borderlands event in Los Angeles earlier this week.
That's in California, Leo.
Oh, fancy.
So, what are we looking at? Tell us everything you know quickly. No, you don't have to go quickly, Imran. We've got time.
Okay, so story setup. This is the story mission they put us on was Reese from Tales of the Borderlands is now president of Atlas, which was Handsome Jack's company, Borderlands 2.
Right.
And Atlas is being taken over by Malawan, which is a separate gun manufacturer in the game. And you arrive there because the villains of the game, Tyrone and Tyrene, are basically working with Malawan to take over this company and find like all the other vaults so they can absorb the monsters in them and take their power.
Okay.
So when you arrive and you are the vault hunter, I'm playing as Amara, who is the siren of this game, so she has the special siren powers. You are working with Lorelei, Reese's second in command, to take back this communicator and talk to him.
Okay.
So this is what I'm doing right now, is like fighting through the Malawan heavies and also stopping to loot everything I can because I have a sickness, to actually proceed the story a little bit.
Now, Reese, controversial. Not Troy Baker anymore. Did you hear his voice?
It is not Troy Baker. Yeah, I heard his voice. It's very obviously not Troy Baker. It is like the line deliveries are not the same.
Is he supposed to be way older or something?
I didn't ask them I didn't ask them about the voice, but I did ask them, are there Telltale writers from the series that are on this? And they said they do have somebody, but they didn't simply say like, is it for Reese? So I'm just guessing it was like a hire.
Okay. Now, like when that news first came out that Troy Baker was not voicing Reese, Gearbox countered by saying there are some very some story reasons that people will appreciate when they play the game as to why the voice has been recast.
You'll be ashamed of your words and deeds.
Did it make sense, Imran? Does he have like a voice box or something now?
Not in the bit I've seen. The only difference they made a point about was to talk about Reese's mustache, which is his siege mustache, and that's the only thing they said.
Okay, so I guess
like there is no like explanation like, oh, I don't know Reese or whatever. It's Death Stranding Reese. It's the same Reese apparently. It's just they didn't want to pay Troy Baker's cost, I guess.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
How's the gameplay?
Is the gunplay
gameplay
tight?
is very good. It's surprisingly tight. Like I played a little bit of Borderlands 2 before I like went to this event, and it feels roughly the same. I had to play, or I wanted to play on keyboard and mouse because that's the way I played every other Borderlands game. But they said they have not yet optimized that. The game is still in development. Some things are still like being made. So I was playing on a controller, and usually I don't do great on first-person shooters on controllers. But this one worked fine. I managed to control it about as well as like I would on a keyboard and mouse, which is shocking to me.
Did people at the event stand and clap when they realized how good you were doing?
Yeah, I mean, I had headphones on, so I just assumed they were doing that.
Okay.
But I think so.
Okay, that's cool. That must have made you feel really good.
In general.
All right, so we kind of skipped ahead just a little bit here. We're still doing the same stuff.
Game is still Borderlands.
Yes, in Borderlands.
Yeah.
So at some point you meet Zero, who is a vault hunter from Borderlands 2. And what Zero needs is you guys need to break into the armory for Atlas to get a certain item that he needs to get out of there. So that means you have to break through the front line of the Malawan army.
Okay.
This is surprisingly difficult.
Yeah.
Because, so they have all these Malawan bots, and these are not a huge problem, but there's a new element introduced called radiation, which is like, Borderlands had different elements: fire, shock, corrosive, and stuff like that. What radiation does is it's kind of like corrosive but weaker. But when the enemy dies, they kind of like poof out a radiation smoke bomb, and that will get every enemy in the area. So it's you kind of have to think a little bit more strategically with your items, or not items, your elements. And you can do that by, like, if you look in the bottom right corner where it says corrosive, if you hit down on the D-pad, you can change your gun to your alt fire. Okay. So you can switch between corrosive and radiation as you need to.
Okay.
Huh. Is that for all guns or just for special guns?
So some guns have alt fires and some do not. Some have fire in terms of elements. Some are just like, okay, well this gun's alt fire is missiles instead of like bullets.
Okay.
So like you can find a gun that works perfectly for you. Maybe you don't like the alt fire, or you can find like the perfect gun and everything about it is great.
And is this gun that you're using now one that you started off that you were given, or is it something you found as you played for a while?
I believe this one I was given like with a save file, but I did switch around guns as I saw them through the game.
Okay. And in the demo, are you playing by yourself, or are you partied up with someone else that we are not seeing?
In this demo, I am only playing by myself. They're pretty generous with the AI partners. So like earlier in the demo, I was hanging out with Lorelei mostly.
Yeah.
So I was able to, whenever, theoretically, if I died, Lorelei could pick me up, which is a change they've made for Borderlands 3. The AI partners can like revive you.
Oh, good.
But you have to actually stick by them, and as you can see right now, I am nowhere near Zero. I have no idea where he went. I can look at that map and probably go up to him, but if I were to fall right now, which I probably would, like I fell several times this battle, he would not be like rush over to get me.
Okay.
It's if I'm nearby. So it's their way of kind of balancing this game out. Also, people are going to point out that I am not shooting that guy's weak points. I did not realize that was the weak point until later in this demo.
All right. What was the weak point?
So I died really. The big orb on his back.
Is it glowing, Imran? Be honest.
It is somewhat glowing,
Somewhat
but like a lot of him is glowing.
Leo, it was glowing so bad.
Yeah, it was ... glowing.
Yeah.
But it does do the thing of like you die and you pick up at the respawn point, which is my understanding, and I asked them about it. The respawn points are non-canon, so they just don't talk about them. They're just a mechanic in the game.
Okay.
But
They
you can
used to
just
be
jump
canon,
back
though.
all the enemies have. Pardon?
They used to be canon in Borderlands 2.
Like the new U stations?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. They weren't actually like that one side quest about them is not canon.
Oh, all right. Sure.
Huh.
But yeah, you'll revive and like all the enemies will get their health back, and it's like it's fun to just like lose a little bit of money and come running back in and be like, okay, well, I'm in a better position now. I'm gonna rethink how I need to do this.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what else is new in the game? Like it seems like a fairly faithful continuation of what's come before, which, like as someone who enjoys Borderlands, that's fine mostly, but like what should I be excited about?
So I think the multiplayer thing with the instance loot is actually super cool.
Yes.
And it solves a problem where like I was having this with the Division 2 recently, where a friend was higher level than me, so I couldn't really jump into their quests. What this one does is that whatever level you are, the game content matches with that. So that means the enemies are going to be your level, and they're going to be your friend's level, regardless of what level they are. And the loot will be also differ as you go on.
Okay.
So like, I'll find level 5 guns, and he'll find level 25 guns, and the game will just be like, okay, well, this is fine. You can all partner together regardless of where you are in the game.
Okay.
But you
And,
can
like,
change
I
those kind of
personally think
settings,
that's the
right?
biggest You can set it back to classic mode if you want to. Then you could just like carry someone through higher level stuff, or like bring in a ringer for lower level things if you want to. But like the loot's gonna also like you can't. I don't think you can toggle them individually, so you can't do like level consistent loot and level inconsistent enemies. It just kind of runs get super easy weapons.
Yeah.
So one of the things I like is that I played Sirens in both games before this. So they kind of had more long-range, kind of magic-y styles. This one, Amara, is more of a melee brute character.
Cool.
So like you can see how like when I use a skill to jump in and like do like a 3-armed melee hit that pops all the enemies up, it really encourages her to get into the fight versus Maya in the last game, who kind of stood back and pressed F when need be. And I like that like pulled out from the third-person character or third-person view when you do the skill. It kind of reminds me of Destiny.
Right.
But like they're really changing up the build, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
So the tone, from what you could tell of like the story missions, is it funny?
There's funny parts to it.
Okay.
Like the intro of the game where you're like hanging out with Claptrap and like I know they really like Claptrap. I know there's a lot of Claptrap fans, but I just cannot stand his writing at all. There are things that are funny, like the enemy death screams can be pretty great. Like one of them is you kill an enemy and he says, "To be fair, I was kind of a monster," They're the things that catch you off guard. I kind of hurdle that. There's nothing that had me like laughing out loud or having to pause the game and be like, yeah, that's really good. But it's a better version of Borderlands 2's writing, I think.
Okay.
No memes.
No
I've seen
meme
yet.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you to calibrate where you fall on Borderlands humor. So you thought Borderlands 2 was a little too memey?
Borderlands 2 was too memey, and the characters broke the fourth wall a little too often.
Okay.
This one, I didn't see a whole lot of that.
Yeah.
But also, like, they try to wrap your character more into the story a bit. So, like, I was thinking Samara, and when she has when a character has her a question, she will actually respond and give in a way that matches her personality. Like, I forget who asks her, but someone is like, "Did you bring the army with you?" And she says, like, "Do my biceps count?" Which is not a great line, but it's a line that's going to differ depending on the character you're playing as.
Yeah.
And like every NPC reacts to it as if it was a generic line, so I assume that they don't have different writing depending on the character you're playing. But it's an interesting way to give your character a bit more personality and wrap them in the story, because they're kind of mindless mutes in previous games.
Which is strange because, like, they were all archetypes and had strong personalities, you would think, based on their design.
You find out in the next game that they did.
Oh, okay.
When they're NPCs.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I do
Lilith
like
is a major part of this game too.
Right. Did you meet anybody besides Zero?
In the intro of the game, you meet Lilith. On the ship, you see like pretty much everyone who was in Sanctuary from the second game, like Tannis, Hammerlock, all those people. So they're still in the game. In terms of NPCs being given to you, it's pretty much just Lorelei and Lilith in this one.
Mm-hmm.
There's a part which I don't want to talk about yet because it spoils Tales of the Borderlands, and it's like there's a character death in that game that has effects on this one.
Sure.
Can I
which is
spoil
like
it?
surprisingly not sad, but I was surprised that they mentioned it.
Yeah, they did. They killed off somebody in Borderlands 2 as well. That was like a very smart, emotional punch. It's like I very clearly built a relationship with this character by playing him for a full game, and now they're taking him away. So it's smart storytelling.
Yeah.
People like to say that this game looks just like Borderlands 2, but I really think it's like a timeless art style. I still love looking at this.
Yeah, exactly. I went back to Borderlands 2 recently, and it definitely looks like Borderlands 2, but like you said, that it's a timeless art style.
It'll age a lot better than other games of the era, for sure.
It's actually really hard to get like a look at. Like, the things that are improved in this game graphically are hard to see on video. Like, they look a lot better when you're actually like playing the game, because it's that same art style that was made to, I guess, hide the way the PS3 and the 360 were aging at the time. And that means that it kind of looks a little simple now, but like you see a lot more details, like more bump mapping, things that like look better in this game. Like, I was talking to the art director, and he said this was not the original idea they were going to go with. They eventually said, okay, well, it's a Borderlands game, it should look like a Borderlands game, so they went with the old style. But like the original look was kind of like a more illustrative comic book look, but it was hard to read from a gameplay perspective.
Okay.
So they kind of went back to this one. But I'm actually very curious to see what like that original game looks like.
Yeah, this gun looks cool.
It's got some kind of engine on it.
Yeah, I think I traded this gun out like immediately after, so I'm not sure if I got a chance to actually check it out.
Yeah.
But I was just like trading guns out despite I do like that you can. I don't remember if this is a Borderlands 2 thing, but I think maybe it was. Of like you can just look at the gun and see the stat difference immediately.
Yeah, that's great. Was there any loot that was super exciting for you? I know you didn't play for that long, but what was the coolest thing you found?
Nothing here was like particularly amazing. When I went back, I did this mission as Amara, and then I went back later and I played as Zane. But he had some stuff that worked better. So he has skills where he can send out a drone, or he can send out a decoy, and then replace with that decoy whenever he wants. And some of those guns worked better with his skills. Of like, okay, well, this gun will shoot whatever your decoy is shooting. So I could run away from my decoy and like go to the other side of somebody and just like aim somewhere else, and it will just auto target whatever my decoy was hitting. Which was extremely good. I didn't manage to get to the boss fight, but I would bet it would be great for a single target.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this one in terms of story, we gave the thing to Zero where he can add a mod to his sword to clip or slice through Malawan's shields. In exchange, he gives you a sniper rifle. I asked if it was a different gun each time, and they weren't able to tell me, so I'm guessing no. But it is an actually surprisingly good gun, so at some point they do want you to have good weapons and not just change out every time you see one.
Did you run into any of the like weird exotic stuff? Like I know the trailer, they made a big deal out of the guns with legs. Did you see that in action at all?
I think I was doing a side quest later or at the very end of this demo, and I had a Tediore gun, which is the kinds that like don't reload. You can throw them away.
Yeah,
and like they have special effects this time. So I believe this one that if you throw it in an area, it'll poison all the enemies that are nearby.
Oh, that's cool.
So I was like, at some point, I was just shooting in the air and throwing the gun at them, and then like to just get at them.
Like your bullets are worthless.
Yeah, basically.
That's cool.
Ah, there it is, the Marwan shield. Do it.
Do it.
They definitely like doing this more of like showing you more story moments. And like one of the things they emphasize is, oh, this game has a ton of boss fights. So, well, we're gonna go do one eventually here, but I think they're trying to purposely try to like take the criticisms of Borderlands 1 and 2, because like Borderlands 1 had very bad it had very few and very bad boss fights. And Borderlands 2 was a little bit better on it, but it kind of didn't solve the problem of, oh, I can stand in this one place and just do whatever.
Right.
Okay, I think at some point I realized I do not have subtitles on, so that's what I need to turn on. But this is the actual, like, you're looking for the Gigamind, which is the AI controlling Malawan's army. And because this is Borderlands, it's an actual, like, walking, talking brain.
That's all we are.
Yeah. The point is to come here and just kill it.
There he is.
But so what they do in this boss fight is, if you tried to stand in one place, he would just like move around. He would use those little like projectiles he has around him to force you to move. So you're basically always having to circle strafe, and eventually ads come out, so you would have to fight them as well. But they are trying, like, it does seem like they're actually trying to solve those problems of how does a Borderlands boss fight work? How do you balance it for 4 people when there needs to be, or for 1 person? And they're doing a pretty good job of refining that formula to actually make all of this work.
That's good to hear.
Like, when you ask, like, does this just more Borderlands? The answer is yes, but it does seem like the best version of it because of how many, like, refinements they're making to the criticisms they got from previous games.
Yeah. So, did you get a chance to do any kind of open world exploration, or?
So no, that like they only let us go to Promethea, which is this planet. I would, from what I understand, and from what I'm basing just on this, there are a lot of worlds, and there are a lot of, like, in terms of art style variety, a lot of them look different. I particularly called the art director out. I was like, hey, why does some of this stuff look like Metroid Prime? And the answer was, I really like Metroid Prime. Okay. So some of, like, the jungle areas are very different, like, from the standard desert stuff you see in a lot of the game. Yeah. Based on the way this one looks, this planet, it's a fairly big circuitous area, but it's not necessarily wide open, and I'm gonna bet that varies depending on the planet you're on.
Okay. So they didn't talk about, like, the degree of exploration you'll be able to do on different planets necessarily? Like, some are wide open hub type spaces with a bunch of mini missions, and others are more like devoted for a single mission.
That is my guess. They didn't actually say what like how that's going to be, but my assumption based on this one and based on, like, the mission structure is that you can just, you know, there are going to be ones that are bigger and more important, and that are, like, this one is mostly like streets and hallways so far, but it might open up when you get outside, like, the Atlas area, outside of the, like, I think this area is called, like, the Meridian Metroplex. So maybe there's other parts of it that aren't like that, but we'll see. I'm gonna guess some of the planets are just not as technologically advanced, so they're obviously not going to be as city-like as this one.
Did Borderlands used to have the little hit indicators, the X on your crosshair when you hit somebody? Does it always have that? Or is
I
that
don't
new?
recall. One thing I did like, which again, I'm not a thing I'm, if I don't remember it's in Borderlands or not, but like when Amara does her melee attack, it does a special effect when it actually hits versus when you're like whiffing it. So you don't have to like think like, oh well, was I close enough to the enemy? Was that damage done from something else?
Congrats on the level up, Imran.
Thank you.
Show us what happens. Spend those skill points. Come on.
This game is in development.
Okay.
I will say that. But like that also was a thing where like the loot from that boss, the thing I needed to get his actual brain, was like it fell somewhere I was inaccessible to me.
Oh, okay.
So it took me a while to figure out. Eventually I made like a jump that let me grab it.
Mm-hmm.
But in this game, there's a thing where they just solved that now, where you can just go to the ship and anything that dropped from an enemy but you did not pick up is just in a vending machine.
Oh, okay.
Love it.
So this is a side quest where you are tasked with getting coffee for the rebellion army.
Okay.
And to do that, you have to steal a cup from one of the enemy generals, but you don't know which of these soldiers has the cup. So you're just you're going there and you're taking all these guys out, like Caffeine, Carl, and Coffee Carrier.
Oh,
Wired Will, yeah. But like, I mean, the side quests are still the same thing as Borderlands before. You go to an area and you kill a bunch of dudes, and like you pick up loot and then get the experience from the end. But they try to they pepper it with a bit more writing and voice acting, and I don't know how well the humor is gonna land because like the concept of Lorelei needs coffee and these guys also like coffee is funny for like a minute.
It's a Gilmore Girls reference, I think.
Oh yeah,
Space.
I remember that episode well.
Yep.
I can't wait to not listen to it while I talk with my friends while we play.
That is my ideal scenario for Borderlands. Of like, oh, we all caught that one joke and it's hilarious, but we missed the 90 jokes that didn't land.
Right.
Oh no. There you go.
Nice melee finisher.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when's this game coming out?
This is coming out in mid-September.
Nice.
With an asterisk. Sorry, Steam.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a 6-month exclusive on the Epic Games Store. So
Yeah.
if you are only a Steam buyer on PC, then you will get it in April.
Yeah.
Just have to figure out how to add friends on the Epic Games Store.
We'll be your friends, Leo.
Oh, thanks, man. Wonderful. Thanks, Imran.
Yeah, thanks, Imran. We gotta go, apparently. Thanks for watching,
We're
everybody.
coming up on the end of the footage here.
Bye.
Bye.
Another seamless exit.
Gaming can be hard. Watching people play games shouldn't be. New Gameplay Today is your path to getting fun, informational previews of upcoming games and the releases of the day. It's New Gameplay Today, a marginally new way to spend your time.